Hello and welcome. This is Kristen from the Online Selling Show. And I was driving along today, and I like to drive with no sound or anything because it allows my mind to wander. And my mind wandered back to an awkward situation at an estate sale yesterday. It made me think that doing a video as a reminder that not everybody is your friend at these sales would probably behoove a lot of us to hear this message over and over again. I've indicated in a lot of my videos now that I have been exclusively in the wholesale business world for the past 15 years or more. And my mind is very conditioned when I'm in a world of dealing with people that are even salespeople and business owners, especially competitors. I understand how to put my guard up. People really have to earn a trust from me. I don't just give that out. And a lot of that's because of ways I've gotten burned through all the years of being like a guinea pig or picking my brain and that type of thing. So I'm very, like I said, just conditioned would be the way to say it. But now that I'm back out in the estate sales and the yard sales and stuff like that, I have to remember that, not so much with the yard selling, because in yard selling, you're like hustling. You're going from one sale to the next to the next. And you may say, hey, how are you? Oh, did you hit any good sales? Like, that's about the conversation you kind of have. Maybe once you get a little friendlier with somebody, maybe a little bit more than that. But at estate sales, you're there, and I'm there for hours ahead of time. So you have a lot of time to get to know people. And me personally, I don't remember like names or stuff. I remember more of the stories of what we talked about and things. And when I've been to these estate sales, I can just say that the incident that happened yesterday, the person this happened with, this woman, I don't remember having any conversations with her. I know she's been at 3 or 4 other ones that I've been at, and it's not like you're in a queue and you don't mingle around. I mean, you do. So I don't really have any recollection to say that there's a reason why we didn't have any conversation. I do know that in most of my just sourcing mentality, I don't really pay attention to what a lot of other people are doing. I've said it for many years in my wholesale business that I don't really pay attention to what my other competitors are doing. I got enough to keep track of what my own business is doing. And I don't say that with any level of like arrogance or anything like that, but it's a lot. There's a lot to have to manage. And the way that I look and decide to buy and sell is not the same as everybody else. We all have our own experiences, our own educations that lead us to buying the types of products that we buy. And I just don't feel, I feel I have such an abundance, sorry, my throat. I have such an abundance mentality that there's so much here that I don't need to feel that I need to go speak checking out my other competitors. And I definitely have an abundance mentality into the sense that what is meant for me is mine. It just is. I've seen too many instances where if you try to manipulate or come into something that was you forcing a situation, you get where the product doesn't sell, it breaks, you don't get the price you thought you were going to get. There's just so many things that have come in as signs for me that when it was meant for me, it sells fast, I get the price I want, people love it, they write these, whatever, I don't know. But I'm just telling you, there's no need to manipulate anything. For me, I just go into these estate sales very tactical. I do my due diligence ahead of time to make sure I can target exactly what I want. I get there way early so that I can be early in and get the stuff right away. Do all the things that I feel that is the homework you have to do. So for me, I don't need to know or pay attention. And in these estate sales, this particular woman, like I said, I haven't had any other conversation with her. I have noticed that she tends to kind of be in the same areas of the house shopping when I'm shopping as well. And yesterday when this occurred, I went to a sale and they let in like 12 people or something, and then I was the one cut off that couldn't go in the house. So I had to stand there and watch through the glass these other people, like basically looking to me anyway, that they were cherry picking these different areas. And we waited and waited and waited. It was like 10 minutes. And then they finally let me in, and I right away went to the areas that I had in my head, and I was buying the number one thing that I had to get in my mind, and it was a multi-piece figurine set from Lenox. And what I've learned from most of these estate sale companies is if it's too many pieces for you to pick up, or it's too bulky of a piece, you just take the pricing, and that's indicative to them that like it's yours. So this particular item I picked up had the pricing on the certificate of authenticity, and I took that. And I can remember somebody saying in my ear, like, oh, at that price, you're going to have to want to put that in your personal collection. Like, you're not going to be able to resell it for that price. Well, I had done my due diligence. I happen to have sold Lenox as a retailer for years. I happen to have sold that particular item many times over. I had looked, and it was still selling for as much, if not a little bit more, than when I had it before. And I didn't pay attention. I just kept buying the things that were on my, list, my mental list, doing the math to see what, was going to work out for pricing. And I left there and I went out to the garage where there was a bunch of Christmas items. And I bought a bunch of stuff from there. I was able to cherry pick all of that with what was there. Matter of fact, I had gone through it a couple of times at this point, going back over stuff. And I remember her coming out at this point, and we chit-chatted a little bit about what was on the table. And then she got in my head. It was already a little bit off kilter because of the way that I got cut off from going right in. I'm not used to that. That did throw me off. So I think I was already a little bit off my game. But then I have to give her credit. And before I get into that, I will tell you that I had a best friend for many years who's shared with me a way when she had people probing for her for things that she felt was them being nosy, basically, or gossipy. She said she would always throw a question back to them that they would ask of her. And if it's trying to be just conversational, those people are going to answer the question, and the conversation is going to move along usually to something else. But if they're asking these questions because they want that specific answer for some reason, and you don't feel that they have a reason to need it, she would keep having those people, they'll keep reframing the question and asking it back to you, trying to get back to you to get that question. And I learned that trick through her. So in this particular instance, she's sitting there and conversating with me about what was on the table. And then she turns to me and she says, so, and I was moving on to other areas in the garage at this point, because like I said, there really wasn't anything else at this point. She says to me, I'll give her credit, it was very creative. She says, so was there anything here that you came for that you weren't able to get? And my guard went up. I was like, no, not really, because at this point, there wasn't. I did remember later that there was a Fenton duck that I wanted, but at this particular time, no, I'd gotten what was on my mental shopping list. I said, no. She goes, oh. I said, why? I said, did you get everything? Did you get stuff you wanted? She goes, oh, I got some. She goes, but did you pick up that Lenox figurine set? Because that price was so high. Now I'm remembering that there was somebody saying almost that exact same stuff as I was picking it up off the table. So now I'm like, that was probably her. And so now, like, the conditioning has kicked in full at this point. And I said, no. I said, why? I said, I didn't think it was bad. And she says, I said, oh, yeah, I did get it. I said, why? I didn't think the pricing was bad. She goes, oh, I saw the price for that. She goes, that's only selling for like $60 online. Now, I'm saying I've seen prices of $150 to $200. That's what I know, like my research. And she did get a little bit into my head because I did get my phone out to start looking at the pricing again. And she's like, if you're going to try and resell it, it's only selling for like $60. And I said, oh. And this is where I'm telling you, like, the reframing came in. I looked at her and I said, oh, are you a reseller as well? I don't even think I put it as a question. I think I just said it to her. I said, oh, I guess you're a reseller then. She's like, yeah. I said, what do you buy? And she says, oh, I'll buy anything to sell. And I said, oh, I guess you have like an antique booth or something like that to keep the deflecting it away. And she's like, no, I resell online. I said, where are you selling it? oh, Macari, and I think she mentioned like Poshmark. Never mentioned eBay, which was a huge red flag to me, because in this day and age, I mean, I've been doing this for 22 years. Nobody knew what eBay was when I first got started. People know what eBay are now. And if you're not going to sell on eBay, you're going to tell people like, no, I don't sell on eBay anymore. That's too, but and they got all the reasons. No, she didn't give me any of that. Just, oh, Macari, maybe some Poshmark. I said, really? I said, so now in my mind, I'm starting, my mind, I told you, was trying to feel out what she's intending to get. And I looked at her, and I'm going to generalize here, but a lot of us that are loving this, going to yard sales and all, we've all had dreams to like go on a road trip or something for this, you know? And I just said to her, I said, you know, I love going to these sales and stuff like that. I said, I'd love to do one of those road trips that goes, I think it's once a year, from like Michigan to Alabama or something like that. And she's like my age, so I didn't notice any mobility issues. I mean, I don't know, you know, if she's got grandkids she takes care of or anything, whatever. But I just said to her, I said, oh, you know, I would love to do this trip. And she's like, oh, no, I wouldn't want to go on all that. I'm like, okay. So I don't know what her intent was to bring this up. I tried to feel her out to see if we were going to do, like, you know, conversation. She was shutting them down. There was no elaborating of any sorts. So I'm going to tell you, if you run into these situations, hey, you don't owe these people any answers. That's one of the first things I learned many, many years ago. They don't have a right to know anything that is what you're doing. That is your business, for one. Two, if you feel that you're in a situation and it's questionable, do what I did. Start putting the questions back to them. Let them answer. See what their intent of answers are. If their intent was to make conversation, then they're going to keep elaborating on that. I really didn't give her that opening to keep coming back at me. And I'm not saying you have to be rude about it, but there's just ways that you can kind of divert. I did the question also about doing the yard sale thing, because I didn't want to leave it at that for her to have to turn around and say, oh, is that what you're doing? So I started to turn it into the next phase, which was, oh, what I would love to do with other sales. And when we were getting ready to leave, the gentleman was happening to leave and that I was leaving, which was the one that I've gotten friendly with, and I do trust him. I do know he's purchasing for himself or just a couple things for friends and family. So I've seen what he buys, and I know, like, I can trust him. And we were getting ready to leave, and as we were leaving the house, she was coming back up the driveway to go into the house. And we conversed with her for a few minutes, or like 30 seconds maybe. And then we parted ways, and him and I went back down to our cars, and she went in the house. And I turned to him and I said, you know, I'm kind of curious. I said, you know, I'm really always leery. I said, you know, can you trust her with, and he looked at me and he kind of took like a deep breath. You could see the wheels turning in his head. And I stopped him. I put my hand up. I said, you don't even need to answer that. I said, your pausing just gave me the answer I needed to know. I said, I just questioned how much I could trust her with. I said, and that just lets me know. And he never answered anything more than that. I didn't ask him any more on that, but that let me know she's not going to be a resource to me. There's a lot of people that, like I said, they have the abundance mentality. Maybe they did better than you this week. They'd be more than happy to share like what it is about what they're buying and that kind of stuff. I didn't get this vibe at all. And I just tell you that, you know, there are people that you are going to want to know ahead of time what their intent is, and understand that there is not going to be reciprocity there. You know, you may feel that you're going to like be nice and let them get something this week, and they're not going to reciprocate. So handle it how you want. I hope this gives you a little bit of an insight or a little bit of some information as to how to handle it, or maybe even do you want to handle those kind of situations. I would appreciate some comments down below. I'm sure there is a ton of conversation and topic on this that I have not even touched on. By all means, leave some comments down below. We can have more conversation on this.
I would appreciate a thumbs up if you got any good information out of this, and I would really appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button. It would help me grow the channel, but it'll put my future videos in your feed, and I'm going to say I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.